everyone, Pineapple here with the next episode of the Blue Box Show, Series 15, Episode 4, Lucky Day. And boy, anyone else shocked by how consistently positive this season has been compared to the last? Jesus. Last time we had a very cool, not-so-secret sequel to a Series 4 episode and ended up being great with matching atmosphere, acting, and writing. And today we have a script by Pete McTighe, whose last two episodes in the show were Kablam, which I don't think I've seen since it aired, and the only big positive was an appearance by Claudia Jessie.
How does a lady come to be with child?
Eloise, what a question.
I thought one needed to be married.
Whatever are you talking about?
Apparently it's not even a requirement.
Eloise, that is more than enough.
I take it the two of you? No?
Do not look at me. Have you ever visited a farm? No.
And Praxius, which I had mixed feelings on. But Pete seems like a nice bloke, so I'm very happy that this episode is getting good ratings. And before we get into the episode, I do have to bring up the fact that this is a Dr. Light story in an 8-episode season. And while I like the episode a lot, it's bloody frustrating. So, Lucky Day starts with a nice cold open on New Year's 07, where Belinda and 15 take another Vindicator reading and run into small abused child Conrad. The Doctor making an impression by giving him a supposedly lucky 50p, before he gets smacked by his mother, and I like that 15 tried to be nice and make a good impression, even if he doesn't realise it's the same Conrad that he has a vehement disgust for. And the credits roll on the reveal that in the future he runs an expose podcast, and has managed to rope Ruby into it. It's nice seeing Ruby again, her getting her credit spot right along with Shruti and Vrada, which is a great detail, and I feel like Ruby's story here is actually a little more interesting than her series arc last season, where here she deals with the trauma of the wonderful and horrifying times with the Doctor, and adding a manipulative boyfriend into the mix does not help. I feel like I learnt a lot more about how she feels and who she is now than before. We pick up mid-series 14 as Conrad sees the Doctor and Ruby landed in the hallway from the empty child to shoo away the Shriek back to its home dimension. Conrad takes a creepy photo of Ruby and is tagged by the Shriek as its future prey. And while the effect of it swishing past the camera is a bit cheap, I love the way the Shriek is shot and given movement. This episode's direction in general is really good. Shots used to emphasize creep factor or what we think is Conrad's perspective, or to show awkwardness in the characters. It just feels like they had ideas behind it, not throwing in Dutch angles to look nice like Thor did. Conrad posted the photo and eventually gets Ruby's attention, so she appears, confirming aliens are real and making some other vague references to her time with the Doctor. A couple of shots showing day-to-day people listening, setting up a betrayal later really well. Conrad comes off as really haha awkward, but lovable, and boy, in the first half of the episode they really drill into it. So much, I was almost sick of him. Like a worse Mickey pining over how the Doctor is so much better than him. But the mid-episode twist not only has merit on its own, but going so hard into this characterization in the first half is really endearing and makes the twist more engaging. They date and we get a really interesting moment where Ruby tells Conrad about the Shriek and the atmosphere changes, making you think that maybe this episode will add more from Conrad's perspective, gaslighting you into thinking this is going to be another Love and Monsters, which, I don't know, the episode does have a lot of parallels with, especially with the whole
"You betrayed my friend."
You upset my mum.
Great big absorbing creature from outer space and you're having a go at me.
No one upsets my mum.
We get some more Carla and Cherry scenes, Cherry being a queen as always.
Conrad Clark. I wonder if you're on the Instagram.
Brian is nice.
Conrad and Ruby get closer and Louise makes another appearance, which, while not amazing, does well to flesh out the state of the family unit. And I noticed as they get off the bus to meet Conrad's friends, the camera focuses out on the background, literally focusing on the main couple, which is another nice perspective thing to do just slightly, to represent how Ruby is now distracting herself from her past and trauma with this new relationship, something that someone reprehensible is eager to take advantage of. And this scene and the last showing subtly and then not so subtly that the Shriek is still after Conrad, him not having taken the antidote she gave him. They have a night out and with more evidence of things going wonky, Ruby checks in with Kate as she and Ibrahim eye-fuck each other, and Kate drops a hint towards the war between the land and the sea. Kate can't see anything as the Shriek has been locked locked away, and they talk about how the close encounters of the monster and god kind could be affecting Ruby. These small emotional moments being pretty nice. Kate checks on the Shriek, which is nice to have and atmospheric, although why she has to enter a code just to see if the prisoner is there is a bit much. Opening the door? Sure, slap a code on there, but checking if a prisoner is still present? Ruby opens herself up to Conrad, but the Shrieks appear. So Unit comes in and Ruby tentatively attempts to fight the Shriek off. And as soon as the Shriek stood up, I knew something was wrong. These are actors. And if you watch the Unleashed for this episode, the costumes for the fake Shriek were really interestingly made. It's nice to see so much effort go into the minor design details, as these are meant to be in-universe and in reality, impressions of the Shriek, not perfect copies. So Conrad reveals himself to be a massive piece of shit, and to have been manipulating and lying this whole time. So let's talk about his character for a bit. I would have liked him to be introduced, say, in a small scene in Joy to the World with Ruby at Christmas maybe, just to sow the seed and make it all the more crushing when this betrayal happens. And his motivation, while a little all over the place, isn't really supposed to be so singular. Does he believe in aliens? Yeah, but he puts on this hateful and dismissive front to rally his hateful followers of Think Tank, which might be a reference to Robot, to join him in the hatred of Kate and his lashing out at the world that's made him like this. See the abusive mother. But we don't even know if that mother is abusive by the end of it, as he's been shown to be an unreliable narrator. Maybe everything since he left the doctor in that first clip was a lie he was telling to Ruby on the podcast. I would have liked if they leaned into that either by giving more definition to what was fake and what was real, what he actually believed in and what he was propagating to weaponize his followers, or to go full in on the mystery and show us more from him and have us try and figure out which memory is real and fake, like people watching The Thing and going through to see whose eyes were lit up by the camera. And by this point, you really know Conrad's evil, because he goes as far as to single out Shirley, who is great to see again, but still confuses me with Hebe's existence. Maybe this is an Adiola situation. Conrad exposes Unit as a waste of government funding and full of lies about aliens.
There are no Shriek, no Cybermen, no Sycorax, and there is no Queen of England.
Using conspiracy nuts to push his agenda, but like, how does he explain everyone turning into sand and coming back last year? Costumes and actors? Anyway, Ruby is heartbroken, Kate is furious and arrests them all. A nice step to her rage, overtaking her as we see that happen later. And thanks to public outcry and scrutiny of Unit, they are once again put into a corner, having to release Conrad so that he can do his press tour. Trinity Wells is back, which is cool, but where she was being exploited by the Giggle in her last appearance is just as annoying here as then. I guess she's gone full J. Jonah. Well, movie J. Jonah. And Conrad is even interviewed by real presenter Alex Jones, while he acts like the other Alex Jones.
You took a big risk. We can see on the video that our soldiers literally pointing their guns at you.
I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay. Do you understand that?
Conrad torturing Ruby with every appearance. He doxes every Unit associate, which, I don't know, should probably be illegal, and he takes over legally distinct TikTok with pretty much no real evidence, just word of mouth, and that one time he wasted law enforcement's time by making up an alien threat that in no way discredits alien attacks. His plan has little evidence, but I think that's the point, that the right vitriol spouted over and over again in echo chambers to the right demographic creates situations like this. A needed message, and one touched on much better here than a similar message in The Giggle, which was very on the nose. At one point getting his message across by just having David Tennant yell the message at people. And the end scene is a little bit like that, but we'll talk about why it works better later. Ruby comes to Unit, gets shown just how much Conrad had lied to her, the abusive mother looked after in another country with lots of money, so as I said before, perhaps even everything after he left the doctor was also an unreliable narrator situation. Unit is being criticised by Geneva, and the sympathiser from before lets Conrad into the building while incapacitating most of Unit's forces. And it's only thanks to the Vlinks they identify this guy as the Leak, with ties to Albion, which is a really nice little detail, referencing 73 yards. But with this and Harriet last season, Unit is really going through it. Is this why Kate hires so many children and gives them guns instead? Conrad live streams his B&E, holding them at gunpoint, and while Ruby has great moments, Kate takes the spotlight to protect Ruby and the Briggs legacy.
You're a lying little boy that can't bear to be called out. Don't you
dare point a gun at her?
So Kate, the badass that she is...
The grown-ups are talking!
Oh, shut up, Conrad. As I was saying, after Kate learns Conrad shot his inside man, she goes full on, against Ibrahim's suggestions, letting the shriek out and letting it loose on Conrad with a great score. Seriously, while the first half of the episode was kinda generic, build-up and a bunch of tropes, this stuff is solid. Kate, Ruby and Shirley, but mostly Kate, being very good here.
It can feel your heartbeat. Smell the blood in your veins.
The shriek plays with Conrad, and it's not until it's almost eating him that his pants wet with piss, the whole pathetic display live streamed, that Ruby takes out the shriek like a badass. But it does get Conrad in the arm as he tries to double back and say it was all special effects. Ibrahim delivers the news that both bad boys will live, and Shirley tells us that things are back on the up for Unit. Kate asking if Ruby's okay, and Ruby deciding she needs to make something of herself properly, pursue something instead of waiting for the doctor or the world to end. Taking some time to herself, Kate there for her when she's ready.
You've already got 2 months, what do you collect them?
One thing that's a little frustrating is that if she needs support, why isn't she going to the companion support group? Or are we pretending it doesn't exist now? Imagine Ruby filling everyone in on the 15th Doctor defeating the God of Death. And what if instead of Kate, maybe Jo took a supportive role in her life? I don't know. I just feel like more could be done with that, and it's odd that it's not mentioned. And Katie Manning seems to love this season, if you go look at her Twitter, so why shouldn't she be involved? Leaving Ruby and Kate, we come back to Conrad, now properly in prison, only for a pre-Robot Revolution Doctor to land the TARDIS around him and get the big intimidating dress down of the villain he needed. And boy does it oddly work here considering it's a Dr. Light episode. Conrad mentions Belinda explaining who told him her name as mentioned in the Robot Revolution, and he stands his ground.
Taking people's insecurity and fear and making it currency. You are exhausting.
I get that this is once again explaining the message right to the camera, but the performance and wording used makes it impactful and interesting enough to negate the frustration of the trope. Where the Zygon speech is very clearly anti-war but still works, this is very anti-Twitter but still works. And I'm sure certain grifters like Bolstrak are going to have a field day with it. So after that badassness, he drops Conrad back off, and who should appear but Mrs. Flood, ready to let him out of the cell for her evil plan. So much for...
You die in a prison cell, boiling in anger and poison, till your heart packs in age 49.
What was the episode called again?
A lucky day.
Oh, that's right. Thank you for reminding me, Mrs. Flood. So that was Lucky Day, and while the first half was meh, I was really engaged by the second half. Ruby was interesting, even if the spotlight is stolen by Kate, who still rocks. Shirley doesn't get much to do, but it's nice to see her. And Conrad, well, while I would have liked a little more setup in previous episodes, the madness of his meek side does well to really emphasize the shift when he goes full villain. And his plan and attacks being so down to earth and normal really helped. He's not a god or an unknowable entity or even an alien. He's a hate-filled influencer with a gun, which adds some real nice freshness to the idea. This was a real upgrade for Pete McTighe, and while it wasn't as good as The Well, and I like it for much different reasons than Lux, that second half is a solid 8 or 8.5, but the rest of the episode, with its positives and negatives, brings it down, so I'll match it with Lux at a 7.5 out of 10, but this is an episode I think I'd rather re-watch than Lux. Thank you for watching my review of Lucky Day. Please like the video if you liked it, comment down below if you wish, and consider subscribing to the channel, and if you do, ring the notification bell so that you're told every single time that I make an upload. Once again, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next review. Bye!
Toast. A little piece of toast. Because there's so much to choose from. There's brown bread, white bread, all sorts of wholemeal bread. It comes in funny packages with writing on the side.